Roses are red, violets are blue. Sugar is sweet, and so are you. So today's topic is a fun topic. Also, interestingly enough, I'm actually feeling the butterflies in my stomach as I have thought about my youth and, giving out those Valentine's Day cards and writing to that special someone. In my case, it was special someone's. Handing out these cards and sharing that part of yourself, being vulnerable. So today, of course, is Valentine's Day, and we're going to talk about some of the origins of Valentine's Day, why Valentine's Day tends to be so hard in many situations, because it definitely can be a very triggering holiday, how to make Valentine's Day oh so good, and why are holidays in a general sense very, very important for us as human beings, and then how to change Valentine's Day into a wonderful experience. And if you stay to the end, I'll give you a Valentine's gift, and that is in the form of something called heart breathing. And we will give that to you at the end for those of you who will hang in there with us. So let's get started. Valentine's Day is such an interesting and kind of, again, heart-fluttering topic, if you will. It's got a very controversial background. It actually has some origins in possibly a Roman festival that was related to the idea of fertility rights and being able to pair off women with men by lottery. I know, very controversial. And then there was a pope that didn't like that, and so he transitioned it into a celebration of a saint by the name of Valentine. And there were several Valentine's Day saints and martyrs and things like that. So the origin of it is just as muddy or muddly, if you will, as the difficulty of the holiday sometimes can be. So, oftentimes when we think of Valentine's Day, I've seen my little kids over the last couple of days really get into, their little Valentine's gifts that they're giving to a friend, or their little, my 6-year-old writing names of the kids in the class on his little Valentines and the little candies and goodies. Lovers tend to, or partners tend to, get gifts and flowers and, do all the things. And it's a really interesting holiday. So why is this idea of Valentine so hard, right? It can be a really, really triggering holiday. And if you're there, you're not the only ones. Because in a general sense, I have been married for coming on 16 years, and surprisingly enough, as I did a little self-reflection for this video, I actually got a fair amount of trigger for the holiday today too. So you can have a partner and be triggered. If you don't have a partner, you can be triggered. Oftentimes, people will have either a recent breakup, or there will be loved ones who you have lost, and this day will be a trigger for that. And so it can be hard. It's really notorious for being a very intense holiday. All the pink and the red and the bright colors and the bright flowers, right? It's a very in your face sort of day. So here in the West, we have a hard time sometimes also kind of dealing with our emotions rather than avoiding our pain and kind of saying, well, let's just trudge through and get back to being productive and whatnot. So it's really important to kind of work through some of these things because, holidays, again, are hard. There's a multitude of reasons why oftentimes holidays are hard, especially nowadays. Holidays are very commercialized, for example. And so I oftentimes think, I'm being marketed to for this holiday or this holiday or this holiday, right? So specifically, we were recently walking down the aisles, and each store we were at had a bunch of Valentine's Day stuff. So, this is a really common thing. Not that that's good or bad, but that oftentimes has a lot of connotations, right? Oftentimes, again, we go back to that idea of the pain of past situations or lost situations or whatever that looks like. And so a big part of this too is oftentimes we tend to, as human beings, compare ourselves to others. And so during the holidays, we have a tendency to kind of fall into that. It's really easy to slide into it. Everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people tend to slide into that. So what's everybody else doing? How do I keep up with the Jones? That sort of thing. So it's really important as this day unfolds to work on a level of awareness with yourself. Understand what's going on. If you don't like the holiday, if you love the holiday, how can I make it better? All these things are really important as we talk about this holiday, this difficult holiday. Okay, so a couple of things in being able to transition this holiday into something that's going to work better for you, right? So we talk about this idea of love on this holiday. Love is such a difficult, a very deep concept. So, you know, there are a lot of different ways in which, again, that we show love. We talked a few about them. You know, little kids, they're giving out their little cards and their little candy. For the holiday for myself, you know, I got some flowers for my wife. We went out to dinner. I'm going to talk about that too. And you know, I really want to kind of cover and talk about this idea of love, because that's a really important concept that comes up on this holiday, and I didn't want to leave this one to chance. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to read from Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, and I wanted to read her definition of love. Now, I want to throw this caveat in there too, because she explicitly states right before she gives this definition that she believes that love is not best described in this vernacular, if you will. She feels like love is best described by poets and singers and really kind of that right-brained emotional type stuff. So, but we're going to read her definition of love anyways. And she says, we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, and kindness and affection. Love is not something we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow. A connection that can be cultivated between two people only when it exists within each of them. We can, now here's a key here that we're going to talk about this in a minute. We can love others only as much as we love ourselves. Now, a little caveat here at the end, because this is oftentimes where some of our traumas have come from. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, all of these things are oftentimes associated with the reason why you don't like this holiday. All of those things and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can survive these injuries only if they're acknowledged, healed, and rare. So she is an expert on a lot of topics related to emotional stuff, and so I really like a lot of her examples and a lot of her definitions. So that idea of that connection, that idea of cultivating love is a really, really important component of when I think of Valentine's Day, when I think of, you know, how do I cultivate the love in my own relationships? How do I love the people that are important to me on this particular holiday, right? So a big important piece that she talked about in there specifically about the idea of we can only love others as much as we love ourselves, right? That is a very, very important component, because oftentimes we lose connection with ourselves, and therefore we have a limited ability to be able to connect with others. So, you know, oftentimes in the Western world, we think of this idea of being selfish, right? When we think of ourselves. Now, there is a level of selfishness that we do have to worry about when we don't think about anybody else. But in this context of the holiday in which we're talking about connection and connecting to other people, one of the things that she literally spells out in her definition is that we must be connected to ourselves and work on loving ourselves in order to be able to love these people and cultivate these relationships with these other people. So we're going to talk about that, because it's really, really important to understand what holidays are about anyways. Why are holidays, Valentine's Day is the specific one for today, but why are holidays important? Why are they important to you? Why do I even care about bringing this up? Because holidays are part of the rituals that we as humans really need. So what is a ritual? A ritual is a thing that we do that has significance. that is usually something we do when we get together, or it is something that reminds us of and connects us with others. Now, sometimes it's something that a person's alive, sometimes it's something that the person's not necessarily alive, but it's an important part of being a human being, because when we use language, oftentimes language does not do justice what we're trying to convey in our own experiences, right? This idea of love. And so it's really important to be able to understand that a ritual gets much, much deeper than just having language. Just saying I love you is kind of like driving into a town and seeing a board that says, I live in Bremerton, I'm filming this in Silverdale. It's like coming into the beauty of Silverdale and it says, welcome to Silverdale. So I don't really fully grasp and understand the beauty of the water. Like, I have a beautiful view of the water right outside my window. I don't really fully encompass that, and I can't really fully feel that by just saying, hey, welcome to Silverdale, you're in Silverdale. So it's really important to be able to understand that rituals provide that deep connection, that opportunity, as Brene Brown talked about, to cultivate relationships, connections. And specifically, we need to do that with ourselves in order to be able to love those people that we're talking about. Now, it's really important because as we do those rituals, I do a lot of deep work with people, a lot of anxiety, depression, trauma, those sorts of things. And so oftentimes there's a really big charge on a holiday like Valentine's Day for whatever reasons that you don't like. And oftentimes it makes the holiday really fuzzy. It makes it really difficult for you to be able to connect with yourself and to others that you care about, right? Or maybe it's a great opportunity for you to connect to people. That's what my hope is. So my goal is to be able to help you be able to do that, right? Because oftentimes we get stuck in the past, and those things disable us from following through these rituals that are meant for us to be able to come together, to really know what love is, to really heal together as human beings. Oftentimes that is the only thing we can do, is to sit together in pain and suffering, right? So in a ritual, that we call a funeral, for example, right? There's a lot of love and a lot of connection and a lot of sadness and a lot of emotions that happen there. And then we have Valentine's Day, right? This seems like it's the opposite. To some degree, there are a lot of, again, people who've missed those people who once were in their lives, that they don't have those people anymore. So it's really important to understand that we can actually, if we can process and sit through some of the pain and be together, we can actually go through some rituals for ourselves and really allow this day to heal and allow us to be more connected to those people that we either know now or that we knew, right? And not my own personal experiences. I feel like they still exist as energetic beings. We can still connect with them. We can still feel them. And so this is a beautiful time to be able to work through that process. Recognize if you're having an issue with Valentine's Day, or this is an opportunity to make it even better, right? And each situation is a little bit different. So my suggestion for the holiday is, depending on your situation, you can make Valentine's Day small. You can make it a small ritual. You can make it a big ritual. If you want to go all out, maybe your significant other really loves you to go all out and you're going on a crazy vacation, whatever else. Right now in our lives, we did a fun dress up, fancy dinner, and then we went home and hung out and had a movie night together, and we did some flowers and whatever else. And it's so funny because, again, as I've had a little self-reflection, we ended up doing Valentine's Day over the weekend because it was more convenient for us. But I also realized as I was getting ready, I was like sweating. It's like, we're coming on our 16th year anniversary. So again, even those people who've been married for a long time, it's like, I'm worried that I'm not going to make this, a special enough day for my wife. She loves this sort of stuff, right? So it's important to be able to work through your own stuff so you can really connect with the people that you cherish. So again, how do we change Valentine's Day into a day that we can cherish, right? It's really, really important to understand that, again, going back to Brene Brown's idea that if we really want to love those people that we love, that means we have to do a little bit of self-work. Now, we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but I wanted to talk about a few things that might help this holiday, improve your ability to enjoy the holiday and your partner's ability to enjoy the holiday, right? So, one, understand the importance of ritual, specifically Valentine's Day for today, and the importance of building and cultivating that relationship with those that you're caring about, Okay? Understand that Valentine's Day is a great day to nurture, grow, and cultivate that connection with those that you care about, like I said before. Understand what your blocks are to the holiday. If you have resistance, if you have straight up, I'm not doing that, I hate this holiday, da 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 da, whatever that is for you, there's a spectrum of that. This is a great opportunity for you to pause, do a little bit of prayer meditation, which is basically the idea of getting to know yourself, listening to that inner voice, and understanding what's happening. And now, a simple reminder for those of you who have partners is to be able to communicate with that partner. Get into the conversation and be specific and ask directly what it is that their expectations are for that particular holiday, so that as they are able to convey to you in a very specific and detailed way, then you can understand and remember. And if you aren't a very good listener, write it down, okay? Really important, write it down. If they tell you specifically what they want for the holiday, write it down and do it. That will be very helpful for you, okay? Now, that's the basic concepts, right? And then if you want to kind of up your game a little bit and do a little more of the advanced perspective to some degree, if you really know your partner and you want to work on kind of upping your game, really being able to pull out of and really kind of get into your partner's head as to what they may want, what they're thinking about, what excites them, and really, again, this is an advanced concept, to be able to get in their shoes and really understand what they would want for Valentine's Day, and then do what is necessary to prepare for that holiday, and then provide that for them, because then they'll really feel seen and heard. And even if you're a little off, right? If you get close, most of the time, it's just like learning a language, right? Most of the time, if you're learning a language, for example, I'm trying to learn Spanish right now, and if I were to go and trying to talk to somebody in Spanish, I might know Spanglish and it might not be great, but I'm making the effort, and they can see the effort, and most people are able to receive and really appreciate that. So that's a really important piece. Now, even if you don't have a partner, you can still connect with those that you love, those that you care about. That's still a really important piece. This is a ritual, an opportunity, again, for you to be able to connect with those you love and you care about. So maybe it's with an animal. Maybe it's with some friends and some family. Again, this is a wonderful opportunity. Now, here is the Valentine's Day gift that I want to give to you. It's one of self-love. It's one of self-care, right? In order for you to be able to love yourself, I'm going to provide you with a simple technique that you can work on today that will allow you to be able to further connect with yourself and receive the information that you need to better take care of yourself, so that you can give more love to those that you care. You have more energy, you have more capacity, you have more ability to cultivate and love those that you care about, right? So specifically, we're going to do a technique called heart breathing. Now, what heart breathing is it's a technique that comes from a group called the Heart Math Institute. And what you're going to do in a simple form is you're going to slow your breathing, okay? So you're going to slow your breathing. I want you to breathe in and slow your breathing in and out. And do that 2 or 3 times. And then what I want you to do is I want you to think and bring up in your mind something that you have gratitude for. Now, it may be a person, maybe an animal, maybe a flower, whatever that is, a beautiful stream that you've walked by, something that you've experienced recently. Now, it's really important, especially as you start this process, that you understand that if it's somebody close to you and you got a little bit of charge on them, wife, kids, whatever, that may not be the best option. Choose something that you can actually hold space for and actually have gratitude for. So now that you've picked this flower, or this idea of hugging a tree, or this partner, if you can hold space for them and have appreciation and gratitude for them, now what I want you to do is I want you to refocus on your breathing as you close your eyes and you bring up in your mind that person and you breathe into your heart. And you think about that thing of gratitude as you bring it into your heart, and you slow your breathing and you feel that gratitude. You can even, oftentimes you can feel your face smile, right? As you receive that gratitude, as you breathe into and focus your energy into your heart and out from your heart, to the tune of 2 to 5 times, and maybe a little bit more if you need to. Now, heart breathing is very, very important, because what it will do is it will actually sync you up with your brain and your heart. And then the next step, and I'll give you a little more advanced stuff if you're having a hard time with the breathing aspect, But the idea here is to be able to sync up with your heart. And then when you feel a little more centered in your heart, what I want you to do next is I want you to ask, what is it that I need? What needs do I have right now that need to be met? So you can work on at least understanding where you are. And as you're able to get what your needs are, then you can work on meeting those needs and loving yourself. And as you love yourself, guess what happens? According to Brene Brown's definition specifically, you're going to have greater capacity to love those that you care about. And this is the message that I want to send to you today. To be self-focused from this perspective is actually an act of caring. If you think about it from the perspective of if I focus on and care about and give myself a little self-care and take good care of myself, know what my wants and needs are, and or understand what my boundaries are in relation to that so that I can convey those to others, that's going to increase the chance of taking care of your needs, increasing your capacity for self-love, therefore increasing your ability to love those that you care about. So that is the message that I want to share with you today. That self-compassion, that self-love is ever important in relationships. It's something we all have to work on, and it's a special gift that you want to be able to work towards giving yourself so that you can give it to the service of other human beings. That's a really important piece to be able to keep track in your mind of all of those things. And so if you like the content, please like and subscribe. If you feel like this message of compassion and love would be helpful for somebody else this holiday, please share that. And this is Dr. Fisher signing out.